back then, my first market that I worked in, okay, the first client, okay, my only client was the nursing home. And I would go, they asked me to go to the nursing home on Tuesday afternoons. They wanted me to come every Tuesday. It was like a multiple booking. And they were going to pay me $50 every week. I was so excited. I would have framed that first check if I didn't need it to invest back in my business. And so every Tuesday afternoon, I told them, I said, I don't know if I can come back every week. I only have, this is like 20 years ago, I only have 1 or 2 stories. They said, this is the Alzheimer's ward. You'll be fine. So every Tuesday, I'd go into the recreation room over at Sunnyside Hills. And I thought that was an odd name for a room, had very little recreation in it. It was hot in those rooms. It was like 400 degrees hot, and everybody still had on sweaters. I remember the furniture, 50 shades of mauve, shrink wrapped under disgruntled plastic. And I remembered thinking at that time how the residents looked as if they had been propped around the room in various degrees of posture, consciousness, and incontinence. And I remembered thinking to myself that they looked like wilted flowers. I used to bring my keyboard with me. I also play the piano, another story, but I would bring my keyboard with me because I quickly realized if the stories didn't connect, the music would. And that the tiniest hint of a melody would pull them in to a memory. And I would get this delicious, humbling front row honor in watching all these wilted flowers come to life. For all they needed was a drink of water. We can see our jobs as just a job, as our duties or our obligations as just things we're supposed to do or have to do, or a means to an end, or hours to fill our day, or we can see our roles as this divine opportunity to be someone else's drink of water. And I promise you, if you change the way you see what you do, if you attach it to a bigger why, it will change everything, and your work will not feel so much like work. I remember right up front, every Tuesday sat Ethel P. Waters in her purple velour jumpsuit and matching overly zealous eyeshadow. Ethel loved Tuesdays, not so much for the stories, but she liked the music. Oh, she loved to sing and dance and clap, and she would bounce up and down, and she'd get so into it that can't you just see that white hair floating around her head like cotton candy around the stick at the fair. She would sing and she would clap and she would bounce, and as she was doing so, that oversized gnarled thumb of hers that had knitted a chain of baby blankets from coast to coast would get caught at that silver ring at the top of the zipper on her jumpsuit. And she'd start to sing and dance and clap, and she'd start to take that zipper with her, proving to everybody within vision, not clouded by cataracts, that Ethel P. Waters was not a fan of undergarments. Giving us all a bird's eye view of that tattoo she'd had put on her chest that in the day was a rose bush. But now, it's more like a hanging basket. There's just some things you can't unsee. Every Tuesday, she'd wait for me to say, Ethel, what song do you want to hear? And I'd pray she'd pick a different song. But no, every week she picked the same song, which I thought was amazing because most days, Ethel did not even know her own name. She didn't know what day it was. She didn't know her own kin from somebody else's. But every Tuesday, Ethel picked the same song. And she would never forget the words. And she would always come in at the exact, perfect, right moment to sing her solo on the Tuesday afternoons, Sunnyside Hills concerts. And I'd say, Ethel, are you ready? And she'd nod. And I'd cue her up. And I'd say, okay, Ethel, take it away. And in a gravelly old voice, she would begin to sing. You gotta give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the glory of, that's the story of love. And we'd say, yay, Ethel. She was my number one fan. She was my first customer. She was the first person who taught me wisdom and a lesson about what I was doing, that it wasn't about me, that it's not about the story I tell, that it's about your story. She taught me the power of connection. And that matters more in this world than we can ever know. So Ethel was my number one fan, but not Ruth, who sat in the back in her faded house dress and matching expression. Ruth did not have time for me. You see, she had eyes only for Teddy, who came on Thursdays. Teddy, in his torn jeans, his faded Grateful Dead t-shirt, that old welcome back Cotter mustache. He had this guitar case with these, it was all beat up. It had stickers on it to places I'd never heard of. I mean, mind you, I was just here for the exposure. A dropping off point, if you will. But I was pretty sure for Teddy, this was his destination. But Ruth loved him every week. And sometimes when I least expect it, I can hear him strumming her favorite song that I got so tired of hearing. And yet every time I hear it, I can't help but think I'm supposed to. Because what is music? What are songs but ways to reprogram our brain? Ways to rethink. So now every time I hear that song, sing a song. Remember that one? Sing out loud. Sing out strong. Sing of good things, not bad. Sing out happy, not sad. And my favorite lines were the last ones. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing. Sing your song. Da 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 da. It's a good part. I know. It didn't bring me in to sing. Eventually, I walked away from that job onto bigger and brighter opportunities, and I forgot all about those people. Until I ran into the woman in the grocery store who used to book me for those gigs. And so in between the avocado and the shaved ham, we caught up and compared notes. Got around to asking about everybody. Got around to asking about Ruth. She said, Ruth, I said, how is she? She said, well, Ruth passed. So we had her service actually this week. I said, oh, was it nice? She said, oh, yeah, it was. She would have loved it. She said, Teddy was there. Teddy was there. She goes, yeah, he played her favorite song. I said, oh, that's nice. I said, that's going above and beyond the job description. Wasn't even a Thursday. She said, well, of course he'd be there. She said, you didn't know Teddy was her son. She just didn't know it. And I'm standing there in that grocery store having a moment where any dream or wish or prayer that my son would become president or a teacher or CEO, that all disappeared into one dream, one vision. that my family would become like the Teddies of the world. A guy in torn jeans and a welcome back Cotter mustache who used his gift to be somebody else's. Shame on me. I didn't have the spotlight. Teddy had the true spotlight. That's the glory of. That's the story of love. It may sound fluffy, but can you imagine a world where everybody looked through the eyes of what they do in terms of using their own gift to be somebody else's?